In the country, the Southern Columbia Tigers on the verge of history. They've won 65 in a row, and standing in their way, the first ever meeting between the Southern Columbia Tigers and the Wyomissing Spartans, who played in the 3A state championship game last year and lost, and they've won 20 consecutive regular season games. This should be a doozy. It's the game of the week on PCN. Hi, everyone. My name is Bob Rotruck, and welcome to Catawissa, Pennsylvania. Population 1,522, and here in Columbia County, the longest win streak in the country for Pennsylvania's all-time winningest coach, Jim Roth, and for the first time ever, going up against the second all-time active winningest coach in Pennsylvania, Bob Wolfram. They've both been at the helm of their programs for decades. Bob Wolfram, his 35th year as head coach with Wyomissing, his 48th year as a coach with the program, beginning as an assistant coach in 1974. And Jim Roth in his 38th year. And, well, he set the all-time record for most wins as a head coach when he won his fourth consecutive state championship PIAA crown at the 2A level at Hershey Park Stadium last year. Both teams are 5-0. The streak almost ended for Southern Columbia 2 weeks ago when they were on the road at Wyoming area, and they trailed at halftime 24-7. But they left and they drove 90. I can tell you that Wyomissing is absolutely fired up and inspired for this game. And they talk about preparation has brought us to this moment. They are ready for this after 5 consecutive blowout wins for Bob Wolfram's Wyomissing Spartans. Some similarities for these two teams. They both will use run-dominated wing tee offenses. Some variances in there on the wing tee. Maybe a little more power, smash mouth, straight up the middle sometimes for Southern Columbia, and maybe a little more misdirection and reverses for Wyomissing. In the meantime, we're underway, and Wyomissing is here to receive. And this is Amory Thompson, who's cutting back to his left and all the way out to the 30-yard line, where quarterback Ben Zeckman and Wyomissing will begin. When Southern Columbia has the ball, the big news is that Liam Klebon will not be their starting quarterback. He is out with an injury. And there was some iffy status and questions about his status, I should say, all week long. But they will put this in the hands of a sophomore, Blake Wise. But they don't throw the ball a whole lot, and they have their star quarterback and the reigning 2A player of the year, Gavin Garcia. Tommy Grabowski is one of the top runners, and the give is going to be on the sweep for Drew Eisenhower, the son of Chad Eisenhower, who's one of the Wyomissing Spartans greats. And then he got stuffed there for a gain of just a couple. This is a Wyomissing team that racked up 7 touchdowns last week in their win in the conference at the Fleetwood Tigers. They touched the ball 7 times, 7 series, 7 touchdowns. They were up 14-0 in the first 3 minutes. It was almost too easy. And they had 341 combined rushing yards in that game. Tommy Grabowski in the backfield takes the handoff from Ben Zeckman. They're trying to pave the way there for him, but wrapping up Grabowski for a gain of maybe just a couple. The offensive line for Wyomissing includes Javen Williams, 6'5", 310 pounds is this junior. He received his first D1 offer from Pitt a couple weeks ago, and then they've started reining in for Javen Williams, including Michigan, Penn State, Maryland, West Virginia, Virginia Tech, some pretty good programs. He's not just big, but he's fast. And the offensive line and their success, and he's over there at right tackle, that's going to be the key for the Wyomissing running game to get on track here against a very good Southern Columbia defense, but here we have a penalty. I think. All right, wind the clock, and they're not moving the ball. They just got everything set. 3rd and 5 for Wyomissing. Amory Thompson in the backfield, play action on the fake handoff. Ben Zeckman wants to throw, and it looks like it is caught by the future Richmond Spider. Aiden Mack is a tight end who received that offer to go to the University of Richmond. And yes, he is across the line, and they move the chains. It's a first down for Wyo to the 48. from the left hash with Amory Thompson in motion. The handoff up the middle. Tommy Grabowski breaks through a couple of tackles, has himself an 11-yard gain. Grabowski, 61 rushes for 422 yards this year, 6.9 yards per carry. Leads this team with 10 touchdowns, and on the defensive side of the ball as a linebacker, he also has 28 tackles. Ben Zeckman, the quarterback. Fullback, Tommy Grabowski. Halfbacks, Amory Thompson and Drew Eisenhower. Split end or wide receiver, Nevin Carter. Here's the pitch to Amory Thompson. Look at him go. He breaks through the backfield all the way to the end zone. 41-yard touchdown run for Amo. It's Amory Thompson taking it to the house, and the Wyomissing Spartans strike first on the road at the Southern Columbia Tigers. He might have had a couple of blocks on the left side of the line on that pitch play, which is something they don't do a whole lot of for Wyo. And Amory Thompson goes all the way untouched with 9:56 to go in the first quarter. And remember, this is a Southern Columbia team that has been hurt with some injuries. 41 yards for Amory Thompson. This is Ian Levering on for the extra point, and it is good. And looky here, Wyo probably considered the underdogs coming into this game. Wyomissing, they call them Wyo down there, with a 7-0 lead after the Tommy Grabowski 11-yard run. Amory Thompson on the pitch from Ben Zeckman for 41 yards. These two teams were supposed to play last year down in Wyomissing, but COVID kind of messed with that. Southern Columbia wasn't allowed to travel outside of their league, and both teams and all teams in Pennsylvania were playing abbreviated schedules, and consequently that game got chopped off. The seniors from last year's Wyo team that went to the state championship and lost at Hershey Park Stadium, they're kind of pulling for their Wyo kids this year. They had a great class last year. This year was a little bit of a wild card because they lost so many good seniors. But Wyomissing has 5 straight blowout wins, and their head coach, Bob Wolfram, he's not even sure they've played all that well in some of those wins. 327 wins all-time for Bob Wolfram, 9th most in Pennsylvania, 2nd most among active coaches, 9 times District 3 champions, 2012 PIAA champions with Alex Anzalone, now the Detroit Lions. That's a little pooch kick. They're trying the onside. Bob Wolfram will attempt that sometimes. And I promise you that Jim Roth of Southern Columbia knew it. Could have been coming, and it was. But it was retrieved by an up man, Trevor Yorks, number 28. So for Southern Columbia, Blake Wise is a sophomore quarterback. He came on in relief in the second quarter last year after Liam Klebon got hit, stayed in a couple of plays in the second quarter, and then he was out. And, of course, Blake Wise has had some other reps in some of their blowout wins in garbage time, if you will. Here they're going to give it to Braden Wislowski back in the lineup, and he is dumped for a loss there, a loss of a couple for the PIAA 2A 100-meter track champion. They have a lot of good sprinters here at Southern Columbia. Wislowski has primarily missed the last 3 weeks with an ankle injury, but he's giving it a go here today to join the reigning 2A Player of the Year and Kent State Golden Flashes commit Gavin Garcia in the backfield. So a loss of 1 on the play. 2nd and 11. Here's Garcia. And around the right there, Mack, who is going to Richmond as a tight end primarily. I mean, he sent them a package of his blocking. He only has 3 catches this year, now make it 4. The Spartans don't throw the ball a whole lot. But he blocks so well that he received the offer to the Richmond Spiders. Gavin Garcia is on his way to the Kent State Golden Flashes. Of course, his older brother, Gage Garcia, set the touchdown record for Pennsylvania in his time, and now he's at Lehigh University, transferring over from the University of Michigan. All right, he's going to throw it there, and it is complete. And good for a first down for Southern Columbia, down to the YO 47. On the play action, and he just throws it right out there to Gavin Garcia. Does Blake Wise. Garcia with 16 touchdowns this year, 12 of them rushing, but also receiving, kickoff return, punt return. 4 different ways that he's scored touchdowns. That's Gavin Garcia there. And Rory Falloon and Tommy Grabowski team up on the tackle as Gavin Garcia gains a couple. And it is 2nd and 8 from the Wyomissing 45-yard line. This is one of those games that absolutely could go down to the wire, and it could be a little deja vu all over again in some ways for Southern Columbia. They had a nail-biter 2 weeks ago on the road at Wyoming area. First ever meeting between these small school powerhouses. Huge hole. Gavin Garcia is brought down in the secondary. Nevin Carter caught up to him, so did Drew Eisenhower. But Garcia will make you look foolish. That's why he has over 5,500 career yards in total. He's averaging over 11 yards per carry. 2A Player of the Year last year is getting 153 yards per game. Some of them are on big chunks like that, a gain of about 20, and he'll run off 50-yard games. And he's tough to wrap up, and you better bring him down when you hit him, says head coach Bob Wolfram, because he'll slip away and break tackles. And here he's dragging a man with him as he goes around on the left end sweep. Matt Kramer for Wyomissing brought him down. But Gavin Garcia, he's so fast as well. And a gain of 6 will bring up 2nd and 4, maybe 2nd and a long 3 for Southern Columbia. And both teams are driving the ball very well. I mean, they both are very proud of their defenses, but there's a lot going on their wing T run-dominated offenses. Here is Blake Wise. Give it to Barnes up the middle. Wes Barnes, see ya. Wes Barnes with a 24-yard touchdown run. And Southern Columbia is on the board. It's kind of referred to as a three-headed monster here for this Southern Columbia running attack, but it's been a little bit different because Braden Wisłowski had been out. Well, we saw him give it a go on the first play of this drive, and it's capped off on the 24-yard touchdown run by Wes Barnes with 6:26 to go in the first quarter. Was that a bad snap? Here is trying to turn the corner to get a 2-point conversion. The kicker, Isaac Carter. And the snap went to Jake Kozlowski. And so their point after is no good. And Wyomissing has a 7-6 lead. Isn't that interesting? And both teams scoring touchdowns on their first drives. Jim Roth, the head coach for Southern Columbia, in his 38th season, 461 wins, set the all-time Pennsylvania record formerly held by Berwick head coach George Curry last year on November 28th when we had the much earlier than usual PIAA championships. His 11th PIAA title over Wilmington at Hershey Park Stadium, the team's 4th in a row. They've won 65 in a row. The all-time Pennsylvania record is 66 by the Clairton Bears of Clairton, Pennsylvania from 2009 through 13. They also won 4 state titles. Isaac Carter boots it away, and it's dropped by Amory Thompson, who had the touchdown run earlier. Picks it up, and now he finds a little bit of daylight, and now a lot of daylight to the 40 and to the 50. Can he break away speed here all the way back after he dropped the kickoff initially? Yes, he can. It's a 97-yard kickoff return for a touchdown, the second touchdown of the game for Amory Thompson. Amory Thompson had 5 touchdowns this season. He dropped the kickoff, and he kind of scrambled to pick it up. It was between his legs. It spun around, and where is it? Oh, I'm looking at him going, you better pick it up, Amo, because this could be trouble. It turns out it wasn't trouble. Had a couple of blocks and a big special teams play for Wyomissing, and Amory Thompson on the 97-yard kickoff return. Here is Ian Levering's extra point. It is up, and it is good. And how about that? And how about this first quarter for the PCN Game of the Week? It's already Wyomissing 14, Southern Columbia 6. Southern Columbia was down at halftime 2 weeks ago, 24-7. And they rallied all the way back to win 37-31. So as far as coming back to keep the streak alive, they've been there, done that. And they're going to have to do it again here today against Wyomissing in order to tie the all-time state record. PCN's Game of the Week is back next Friday as well. Danville facing Mount Carmel live at 7 p.m. Friday, October 8th. Watch the game on cable on PCN or stream with the PCN Select app. Well, all Southern Columbia won, kind of running away, but in the second half. At halftime against Carmel's a pretty decent team, too. And instead, it's kind of lobbed out to Matt Masala, who's a 5'7" tall senior. And that's where quarterback Blake Wise and Southern Columbia will take over. Wyomissing starting defense includes up front Rory Falloon, Matt Kramer, Julian DeMeo, Aiden Mack, Jemai Jackson. They kind of rotate in and out, as well as Jack Miller and Tommy Grabowski as the linebackers. Secondary, Amo Thompson, who already has 2 touchdowns today. Nevin Carter. They're both 3-year starters on defense. Drew Eisenhower and Charlie McIntyre. Well, over trying to go to the long side of the field, Gavin Garcia wasn't able to turn the corner. Front is Julian DeMeo. He's one of the leaders on that team. Standing alongside him, you can see 74, Javen Williams. And he got emotional when he received his first D1 offer. He said, yeah, he's not afraid to tell you that he had a few tears when Pitt offered him a scholarship. He said he wasn't expecting it. Well, if he wasn't expecting that, he certainly wasn't. They're going to bring back over to the near sideline. He heard from Temple and Maryland, and then it just got crazy. And he's 6'5" and 310. But they offered him last Saturday before the game between Penn State and Villanova, and he went to that game at State College. On 45. And again, Klebon, their regular quarterback, missing, who dodged a couple of Spartans players who broke through. But big Javen Williams came up with a tackle. I mean, Mac had him a little bit. The first guy there, 24, was Drew Eisenhower. And they just powered through on that right side of the Southern Columbia offensive line. Isaac Carter is the punter. Amory Thompson, 2 touchdowns today. Deep to return. It is blocked. It is blocked, and Wyomissing recovers, and they're bringing it back, and they might turn this into a score. Not quite. It might have been Miller who got a hand on that ball, and bringing it back was 20, Charlie McIntyre. They are going bananas on the Wyomissing Spartan side. What a start here for Wyo. And I saw the hand get the ball, but I couldn't tell what the number was. 59. That was Jack Miller. That's his second blocked punt of the season. He got through, got a hand on that. McIntyre brings it back there to Drew Eisenhower. Pushing, it's actually on the 11, I beg your pardon. First down from the 11. And McIntyre got a gain of about 4 there. 14-6 YO against a team with the longest win streak in the country, and the Spartans knocking on the door to take a 2-touchdown lead in the first quarter on the road. Here comes Grabowski, has a couple blockers ahead of him, wrapped up, pushing him back. He'll get some forward progress there. It'll be about 3rd and 4, 3rd and 3. They can get a first down if they get it inside the 1. It looks like the chain is at about the 1-yard line there. 3rd and 3 from the 4 is what they have right now. And you wonder if they would go for it or if they would try to take the points. Ian Levering is a pretty good kicker for Wyomissing. Ben Zeckman under center, Thompson in motion. Zeckman's going to throw. He's rolling right as a receiver. Juggled, dropped. Good coverage over there to break it up. Aiming for what would have been Amory Thompson's 3rd touchdown of the quarter. And now 4th down, and Coach Wolfram is going to kick. Ben Zeckman is the younger brother of their previous quarterback who took them to a state championship game last year, Zach Zeckman. Now Ben Zeckman takes over, 20 of 31 passing this year. They don't throw it that much. That's 31 passes in 5 games, 64.5%. That was almost good for his 3rd touchdown pass of the season. High snap, Zeckman brought it down. The kick is up. It is good for Ian Levering. Nicely handled by Zeckman on the high snap. And with 3:08 to go in the first quarter, and the field goal for Levering, it is 17-6. The Wyomissing Spartans lead here at the Southern Columbia Tigers. This was a matchup between 2 legendary coaches of 2 small school powerhouse programs. They met a couple years ago, Bob Wolfram and Jim Roth did, at a coaches conference in Penn State, is what Bob Wolfram told me, and they discussed, hey, maybe we should play each other. It's not that far away. You know, we're going outside our district, so it's an inter-district matchup, and they agreed to do it. It was supposed to be a home-and-home series, but the game at YO last year was wiped out because of the COVID restrictions and the shortened schedules. I asked Coach Wolfram, would you like to continue this series? Would you like to play them again? Well, I sure hope so, is what he said. You know, they haven't talked about it. He said he'd met Jim Roth one other time, maybe 20 years earlier. Here is Ian Levering's kickoff, and now he's going to kick this deep. The first 2, he did not kick it deep. And leaning forward on that return is Garrett Garcia, another Garcia brother. And he brought that back, and Southern Columbia has their work cut out for them, trailing, which is something they're not very used to in their last 65 games. It's happened a couple of times. Coach Wolfram and Coach Roth met maybe 20 years ago at kind of a 7-on-7 thing, he was telling me. And there were, like 8 different little mini games there is what they did. So a timeout here. Who called the timeout? YO called it. Well, now that's interesting that they would call the timeout here, but they do. Bob Wolfram had a timeout in, I guess it was week 3 against Boyertown. And it was on the first play of a drive in the first quarter, and it was the second drive of the game, and he called timeout. And it seems strange, but he was mad at his team because they weren't showing the same intensity as their opponents, the Boyertown Bears. And they were getting out-competed even though they were playing well. They won the game 35-7, but Coach Wolfram, it was almost kind of a basketball timeout, if you will. Well, here he calls a timeout, and I don't know if it's to give his defense a breather or to say, look, Southern Columbia had a big comeback 2 weeks ago, and here's the thing. His players saw the comeback. Wyomissing plays their home games on Saturday afternoons because they don't have lights at their field. So they play on Saturday afternoon, and that game 2 weeks ago for Southern Columbia on Friday night, the guys were watching it, and they were rooting for the Southern Columbia comeback. Isn't that kind of funny? But you want to play a team when they're at their best. That was the idea. They wanted this team to be on the verge of history and on the verge of the 65-game win streak. Now it's on the verge of 66. So that's why they were rooting for Southern. Well, a gain of a couple there. Jack Miller got in on the tackle. 2:45 to go in the first quarter. 17-6. YO leads at Southern. Can you believe that for these 2 terrific programs who both played in the state championship game last year, and they're not that far away from each other, I mean a little bit of a hike, they've never played each other before. 2A level is Southern Columbia, and 3A is Wyomissing. Look at that defensive coverage there for Grabowski and Rory Falloon. They are pushing their way through and all kinds of fired up. Aiden Mack is announced on the tackle there too. 3rd and 4. Here's the thing about this Southern Columbia team. They have a lot of players who don't play on both sides of the ball. A lot of one-way guys primarily, which is very unusual for the small schools when you only have about 40 players on your roster or so. That can make a difference, and they certainly seem to have the better energy level in their comeback 2 weeks ago when they were down 24-7 at halftime, and they won. Wise is going to drop back and throw. That's going to fall short of a couple of guys there, Gavin Garcia and Jake Rose. And it did not go well on their last punt try. It was blocked by Jack Miller. Amory Thompson with 2 touchdowns. Ian Levering with a field goal and a 17-6 lead. And, well, they got a couple blocks there. It looked like Wyo was pressuring. And here is Thompson again. Dodges a couple tacklers and to the 40-yard line. Amory Thompson is having a terrific game and kind of a receiver that moves to split end, but he can 9.5 per carry. A lot of times when Amory Thompson handles the ball, but he kind of faked me out and handed it off all the way over to the far side of the field. Goes 24, Drew Eisenhower. And turned the corner a little bit there. Garrett Garcia caught up to him and tackled him. He's a sophomore, younger brother of Gavin Garcia, who leads the team in tackles with 59 coming into this game. Playing here this season, nor did they last year, but maybe a gain of a yard there for Tommy Grabowski. Grabowski is a 3-year starter as a linebacker, along with 2 cornerbacks, Nevin Carter and Amory Thompson. But as a fullback, he was second string last year, but now he's carrying it off here, and they appear that they will. And it's an incomplete pass. We stop the clock, and now with 6 seconds left, we will get in another play, and this will be a punt. Gavin Garcia has a couple punt returns and a kickoff return for touchdown. He is very dangerous, and it wouldn't surprise me if Wyo tries to punt it out of bounds. Looked like it hit off the side of the foot of Riker. I don't think that it was blocked from Riker Jones, but that is a punt of 15 yards. The line of scrimmage was the 41. The Tigers try to get this comeback started. 1 quarter in the books between these two small school powerhouses. Wyomissing 17, Southern Columbia 6. It's the game of the week on PCN. We want to thank the following establishments supporting the WFA and the Wyomissing football program, including the Berkshire Family Restaurant, GNA Restaurant in West Reading, and the Hitching Post in Leesport, PA. We couldn't do it without you. Thanks for making these broadcasts possible on SFBN. The WFA, Wyomissing Football Association, is sponsoring these broadcasts. We thank all of our current members supporting the WFA, making this broadcast possible, and also for your overall friends, and these broadcasts have been received so well. The longest win streak in the country, well, it's in jeopardy here tonight with Wyomissing racing out to a 17-6 lead against this kind of injury-plagued Southern Columbia team. And there is Wyo busting through the offensive line and broadcasting this game. And I was asked by a couple of radio guys, is Aiden Mack going to Richmond for offense or for defense? And, well, we presume it's for offense as a tight end. He sent them a package of his blocks. But his defense is pretty darn good. And, sometimes those things do end up changing. So you never know with Aiden Mack. And there he busted through on the tackle for loss, and he has a couple of those. But it's intercepted right to him. He kind of juggled it wise. That goes where he started with very good field position. Here's a they're Scottsville are now 4-1. That's their only loss. But still 0 turnovers for Wyo, and they pick up an interception there. Amory Thompson with 2 touchdowns here for Wyomissing, and he kind of cut it back inside and a gain of a couple for Amo Thompson. With 11:01 to go in the second quarter. And I'll admit, I didn't get a good look at that missed extra point from Southern Columbia, so I didn't know if it was a bad snap, which is what I think it was, but we do have the blocked punt and the interception here. And Wyo was already looking like, but those are killers. Field along with them. His time back in the 90s. Man, look at that big hole for Eisenhower. And then he breaks a tackle at the 45, stays on his feet, and turned that into another 7 yards, really. Coming around from right tackle to get a block on the left block on a long run, and I can't even, I think it was Eisenhower who had the run. But anyway, yards further downfield, down to the 10, and the runner, who I think was Eisenhower, was doing a little cutback, and Javen Williams was right there with him to lay out another block. 40 yards almost ahead of the line of scrimmage. It was very impressive. Well, here comes Amory Thompson again. He's got blockers ahead of him. Wyo is picking up some big gains and runs against Southern Columbia. And when you're playing Wyomissing, to some extent, you know what's coming. You know they're going to run. You just don't know who's going to have it or which way it's going to go. And it's not unusual for 5 different ball carriers to have a touch on a single drive. And Wyo has done that several times this year. So it's not just a 3-headed monster. It's really 5 different guys that can come in there and get the ball. So now it's a first down for Wyo. Tommy Grabowski is in the backfield. Amory Thompson is in motion. It looked like they were maybe going to give it to Amory Thompson, but instead the flags come in, and they have a false start that goes against Wyo. 1st and 10 from the 32 will become 1st and 15 from the 37. Well, I think most agree that Wyo, coming into this game, they got a fighting chance against this powerhouse team with 65 straight wins. But I don't think anyone expected this to race out and put 17 up on the scoreboard in the first quarter. Very impressive, but they know the work isn't done. Thompson is in motion there. He's going to take it on the sweep. Then he cuts back inside, dashes to the outside, dodges a couple of tacklers, turns that into a gain of about 12 or so. No, 17. Because they already had taken the penalty. He got a first down. So on 1st and 15, and he got hit out of bounds too. And the flag came after there. 1st and 15, he gets a gain of 17. And now they may mark off extra yardage if there was a late hit when he was bumped out of bounds. Yeah, they'll call that a personal foul on Southern Columbia. And Wyo is knocking on the door again. This is just something. And I mean, Wyomissing is making it look almost easy, but Southern Columbia also having some of their own issues. First down, Ben Zechman, fake handoff, and then he hands it off. Grabowski is breaking a couple of – that's not Grabowski. That was Eisenhower. I thought it was Grabowski. There's another flag on the play, too. There's so much faking and misdirection and deception that it's not the first time that I've had the wrong ball carrier for Wyomissing. And so if it's tricky for us watching it from up here, imagine you're down on the field. A lot of times you're just trying to find the ball. Penalty will march it back against Wyomissing. Not only have they had no turnovers this year, but for the most part they've been very good on the penalty situation, too. 1st and 15 now for Wyo. And where are we? We're on the 17 here, and it's 1st and 15. So they can get a first down if they get it down to the 2. Tommy Grabowski stationed directly behind Ben Zechman there under center. Julian DeMaio right there on the right hash. And they hand off Grabowski. And no, it isn't. I thought it was. Grabowski plowed forward. And instead, Charlie McIntyre there. So McIntyre for 8. I mean, I saw Grabowski go down. I thought that was the end of the play. And then, look, he didn't have the ball. I didn't think he had fumbled, but he never had the ball in the first place. So they got back the penalty that was marched off against them and a little more. 2nd and 7 from the 9. There's the pitch out to Drew Eisenhower, 24, cuts that back inside, touchdown! Drew Eisenhower scores. He had the interception earlier, and now he has himself a touchdown. He finds pay dirt, and it's 23-6, Wyomissing. Javen Williams had a block on a man there. I'm not even sure it mattered if Javen had that block because it was such a huge hole for Eisenhower on a 12-yard touchdown run with 7:36 left in the first half. And now here is Ian Levering for the extra point, and he is perfect again, and he has been very good. He's missed a couple, but he's been very good overall this year on the extra points. This is a stunner. I mean, Wyo certainly had a good chance coming into this game, but this was a 24-6 lead for Wyomissing in the first half. Keep up with Pennsylvania high school football and PCN on social media. Follow PCN on Facebook and Twitter at PCN TV. Bob Rotruck here with you from Jim Roth Field at Tiger Stadium, and the longest win streak in the country very much in jeopardy. Jim Roth's Southern Columbia Tigers finding themselves trailing by 18. It is 24-6 for Bob Wolfram's Wyomissing Spartans in this matchup of two teams that played at Hershey Park Stadium in state championship games last year. I didn't get a chance to ask Jim Roth if he would like to continue this series, but Bob Wolfram said, well, I sure hope so. They want to take on the best. Jim Roth, I very much get the impression, the fact that they're playing this in the first place, he wants to take on the big ones too. And, he kind of gave an interesting quote here. First, playoff atmosphere, and it really does have a playoff feel to it in mid-season. Bob Wolfram told his players, some guys go their whole lives without getting to play a game like this, particularly a game like this in the mid-season, 65-game win streak you're trying to stop. You're fortunate. Enjoy it. Well, here's Gavin Garcia, who dodged away, and now he's in the open field. He's already got a kickoff return for touchdown this year. Amory Thompson can't catch him. Breakaway speed for Gavin Garcia. Touchdown, Southern Columbia. And when you think you've got him wrapped up, think again, because Gavin Garcia can just do some magic out there. It's our second kickoff return for touchdown of the game. So Garcia got back to about the 17 to receive that kick. And look at him here. There's no blocker there for him. Nevin Carter had a hand on his foot or his ankle, couldn't bring him down, and that would be the only Wyomissing player to touch him. Ian Levering, the kicker, couldn't catch him. Amory Thompson is one of the fastest players on Wyomissing, and he couldn't catch him either because Gavin Garcia is just so darn fast. And so Gavin Garcia, who really led that comeback, either going to go for two and get in for the conversion for Wes Barnes. Barnes, the 3-yard run for the 2-point conversion. And now it is 24-14. And so what did he have? I had him at the 17 when he caught that, so an 83-yard touchdown return on the kickoff for Gavin Garcia. This is wild. 7:19 to go in the half. Wyomissing 24, Southern Columbia 14. Jim Roth, I was able to briefly catch up with him, and he said, look, in a game like this, you're tested, which doesn't always happen for either of these teams, really. There are a lot of blowout wins on their schedule, a lot of mercy rule wins of 35 points or more. And Jim Roth's quote I found interesting, win or lose, you benefit. And so do they want to keep the streak going? Yes, they're aware of what their streak is. They know what this is. But they also, need to go out there and win every single time. And they know that this is a challenge today, and that with this challenge, they'll be a better team for it no matter what happens, even if it means losing the streak. Win or lose, you benefit. That's the word from Jim Roth. Okay, now, he's breaking a couple of tackles, too, on this kickoff return for Wyomissing. And this is turning into quite a bit of a track meet between these two teams. I think that was Donovan Cruz, 28, who was on the return, and I don't recall having seen him have a return for Wyomissing yet this year, maybe earlier in the season in garbage time. I don't know if either of these teams are really accustomed to crazy track meet games, although Southern Columbia had something closer to that a couple weeks ago, but you kind of wonder about the endurance. The Wyomissing team is well-conditioned. We know Southern Columbia is. But how long can they keep this kind of game up? Ben Zeckman is going to pass. And out to the right flat, it is complete to Grabowski Was he inbounds? Yes, he caught that, tiptoed the sideline, and a gain of 5 on the Zekman pass to Grabowski. Really a gain of 6 will bring up 2nd and 4 from the 40. Seriously, the way this game is going, can these guys keep this up? Are we going to have a 50-40 game? I mean, that's almost what we're on pace for here. It's 24-14 with 7 minutes to go in the second quarter. Handoff, Amory Thompson, a little more up the middle for Amory Thompson. A gain of about 2 or 3. 3rd and 2. Really, 3rd and 1. They gave him a little forward progress there, I think. And down to the 48-yard line. I don't think this is 4-down territory, but you never know. Riker Jones did not have a very good punt last time. Split backfield. Amory Thompson slot left in motion. Handoff. Grabowski has a couple blockers there. Whole mass of humanity, too. Grabowski is shoving his way forward and kind of pushing that ball well across the line. He got a first down out of it. At first, it looked like they had a chance of stuffing him there. Jake Rose had the tackle. Guy who has 12 sacks this year. Well, they're not going to get many sacks today because Wyomissing barely passes the ball. They've had a couple games where they've aired it out a little more, but the running game has been so good today for Wyomissing, I don't expect them to change it too much. First down from their own 47-yard line. Jemai Jackson, number 7, JJ, enters the game. And this is on a handoff to Amory Thompson, who came back to take the ball from Ben Zekman. Amory Thompson is getting more touches in this game than I can remember for him all season, really. I mean, he's already got 2 touchdowns, including a 97-yard kickoff return when he didn't even catch the ball, field it cleanly. Then had to pick it up off the ground and kind of scramble his way around. Amory Thompson for 6. It is 2nd and 4, and the ball is now in Southern Columbia territory, down to 5.5 to go in the first half. Amory Thompson in motion again. Reverse. They gave it to Thompson, then he got tripped up in the backfield. Thompson took the handoff and then gave it to Drew Eisenhower. That's a play that they've used a couple times with success, but it looked like Drew Eisenhower's foot got caught there and ran into something. So J.J. Jackson checks out. You're going to have to test your depth here today. Otherwise, you're going to have guys that just don't have enough gas in the tank in the fourth quarter of what looks to be a game that could be a wild one, and it already is, and could go down to the wire. All right, another 3rd down they've got to try to convert. This one is 3rd and 6 from the 48 after Eisenhower lost a couple. This handoff, no, play action, and they're in all kinds of trouble, and he got rid of it. And that's good for a first down. I thought they were going to get to him. And he got rid of it big time, did Ben Zekman, for the completion down past the 40. So first down to the 38-yard line for Wyo. And on the split backfield, a handoff goes to Grabowski, and he's stuffed. And Southern Columbia is kind of rising to the challenge, trying to push through on this massive offensive line of Wyomissing, and not just Javen Williams. Preston Aikman, 230 pounds. Jack Miller, 200. Aiden Mack, the tight end, 6'4", 200, probably 200 plus. The offensive line really paves the way for the ball carriers. 2nd and 8, Wyomissing leads by 10. And here's another handoff to, I think that's Grabowski. And there's so many bodies and so much traffic around him. Boy, some extra shenanigans in there. Now they'll help up Tommy Grabowski, who got about 3 yards on the play, and it brings up 3rd and 5 for Bob Wolf from Spartans. And this is maybe a little more typical in some ways of Wyomissing football, methodically moving the ball. You know, they'll get chunks of 6 or 7 at a time. Here they got, 2 and 3 to bring up 3rd and 5. Oh, they broke through, and Grabowski didn't have the ball, and he had a tackler right on top of him. And Ben Zeckman had not given it to Grabowski. I mean, I'm looking at it on the screen, too, and it was to Eisenhower, not Grabowski. I mean, you might have been like, maybe not. But I thought Grabowski had it, was going to be tackled for a loss, and whoops, he doesn't even have the ball in the first place. That was Drew Eisenhower, but Eisenhower only got 1. Now here we are in 4-down territory, and it's 4th and a long 3, maybe even 4th and 4 from the 32. And they're making noise and stomping their feet here on the Southern Columbia side. 4th and 4 from the 32. Grabowski in the backfield, Amory Thompson in motion, fake handoff. Ben Zeckman's going to throw out of bounds. Incomplete. He couldn't quite connect with Drew Eisenhower. And Wyomissing will turn it over on downs. A big defensive stand for Southern Columbia. 2 weeks ago, they were down by a point with 3.5 minutes left, and Southern Columbia had a big defensive stand and a turnover on downs. That was on 4th and goal. And they took over at their own 1-yard line. And they drove 99 yards, including a big 52-yard run to get it away from their own end zone by Gavin Garcia. They scored the winning touchdown with 31 seconds left. It was truly one of the best games I've ever seen. It was so good, that comeback, to keep the win streak going. And the Wyomissing players were watching that game on the internet, rooting for Southern Columbia because they wanted the Tigers to still have that win streak going when these two teams would meet 2 weeks later, which is happening right now. Well, he got about 4 on that play. 2nd and 6. You know, both teams have their timeouts. Well, Southern Columbia has 3 timeouts left. YO has 2. So, you know, you kind of keep an eye on the clock a little bit. Blake Wise at quarterback for the injured Liam Klebon. We didn't know if Klebon was going to be able to go this week, but he is out of action and potentially longer term, we are told, from a hit that he took in the second quarter last week. So we certainly hope the best for him, and that's bad news. Let's see, Amory Thompson got in there on the tackle and stepped up and helped out. No gain, really, and it's 3rd and 5 for Southern Columbia. See, big number 7, J.J. Jackson up there on the defensive line. Everybody is packing it in. And they'll have the reverse here, and they give it off to Wazlowski, who's back in the lineup this week, and he's going to dive his way across the 42 and turn that into a first down. Wazlowski primarily missed the last 3 weeks with an ankle injury, and they say, was he injured? Is he in the lineup today? He's going to give it a go. How effective will he be? I've seen other places report he's not playing again, but he is in. And the reigning PIAA 2A 100 meters state champion in track just got him a first down there. They're running short on time, down to 1:07 to go. And they'll give it to Gavin Garcia trying to turn the corner. Strong arms, one man back there earlier on the run. And then he got smacked pretty good from behind when J.J. Jackson caught up to Gavin Garcia. Still a gain of 5 for Garcia. And I think a timeout for Southern Columbia, yes. With 59.1 seconds left, timeout for Southern Columbia. And they're still on their own 47-yard line, but they have 2 more timeouts to work with after this. PCN's Game of the Week brings you all of the Pennsylvania high school football action this season. Watch the Game of the Week on Fridays and Saturdays at 7 p.m. Visit PCNTV.com for more info and to check out the schedule. Next week, it's Danville against Mount Carmel. A Mount Carmel Red Tornadoes team that hung in there in the first half against Southern Columbia and trailed 12-0. And Danville, who played Wyomissing in the PIAA tournament last year down in Wyo, and Wyo kind of blew them away in the first round of the PIAA tournament and looked great. And it might have been the second round, actually. Yeah, it was. And Amory Thompson, who's having a terrific game here, he made the catch of the season in that game, a diving one-hander in the end zone. All right, so out of the timeout, 59 seconds left in the first half. Wyomissing leads by 10. That was a pretty big stop for Southern Columbia to keep it at a 10-point game. Gavin Garcia is open across the 50, and it's a first down for Southern Columbia. They're going to hurry here. And now from the Wyomissing 45-yard line. I don't think he's going to spike it. I thought he might at first. And yeah, he's going to drop back and throw. He's under some very hard pressure, but he got it off to Wes Barnes, who gets over there and out of bounds at the 40-yard line with 38.6 seconds left. So Southern Columbia is driving decently, although still not all the time in the world to make this happen, but they're giving themselves a chance. It is 2nd and 5 from, maybe that's 2nd and 7 really, from the 41-yard line. And did Southern Columbia call a timeout here? What do we got? Looked like he got out of bounds, but I think, yeah, Blake Wise, they're talking about it. Yeah, the play clock is still running. They might have to call a timeout. The play clock is down to 5. They are sprinting up to the ball. They're going to have to snap it right away. 2, 1, they got it off. Amazing. And he throws it out of the right flat, a little bubble screen there. And it is complete. I thought for sure there's no way they're going to get this play off, but then they looked at the clock and went, oh, well, we're kind of running out of time here. That pass was complete to Jake Rose, and now they do call timeout after all of that with 31.7 seconds left in the first half. Amory Thompson, a 41-yard touchdown run, just 2 minutes and change into the game, a 7-0 lead. 24-yard run for Southern Columbia with 6.5 left in the quarter. The point after no good. It was 7-6 Wyomissing. On the ensuing kickoff, Amory Thompson kind of mishandled the kickoff. It was spinning between his feet. Had a tough time finding the handle, picked it up, and then all he did was run it 97 yards back the other way. A kickoff return for a touchdown. It was 14-6 Wyomissing on the 97-yard return by Amory Thompson. The blocked punt in there, leading to a 22-yard field goal for Ian Levering. 17-6 with 3:08 left in the first quarter. And on we go. Eisenhower on a 12-yard run made it 24-6. Gavin Garcia kickoff return for a touchdown with 7:19 left in the half. 24-14 on the two-point conversion. And there's Blake Wise showing his stuff. He's pretty good. Is this sophomore thrust into the spotlight in the starting role for Liam Klebon, who is injured. And he gets a first down there on that pass out of the left flat. 25.6 seconds left in the first half. And the ball is now down to the Wyomissing 26-yard line. And what a huge momentum boost this will be for the Tigers going into the locker room. They can get a score before halftime and make it a one-score game. They were down 24-7 at half 2 weeks ago. They were down 3 scores, and they still came back. Oh, the ball popped out of his hands. Is this a fumble? It is. His arm was not in motion. Drew Eisenhower picks it up and takes it all the way back for a touchdown. Blake Wise was hit. He was not in the process of throwing the ball. It popped free, and Drew Eisenhower runs it back 74 yards on the fumble recovery. Incredible. And who hit him? That was on a blitz, and on the blind side there, that was 85 Aiden Mack. And there's Mack running right alongside him, and that was 15, 15 Matt Kramer. Kramer hit him. Matt Kramer hit him, came in untouched on the blind side. And the fumble recovery for the touchdown for Eisenhower, who already had an interception today. So now he's got an interception and a fumble recovery for a touchdown, just as it looked like Southern Columbia was potentially on the verge of making it a one-score game at half. And instead 30-14. And Ian Levering can make it a 17-point difference right now. The extra point is up, and it is good. Drew Eisenhower, what a stunning turn here. I mean, Southern Columbia was driving. They're looking to make it a one-score game. They were moving the ball well against Wyomissing, and they shoot themselves in the foot again. And they have done that more than once in this game. The blocked punt, the interception, and now a fumble. And it goes all the way back for a touchdown. It would have been one thing if they had just lost the ball. I mean, they might not have scored on that drive anyway. But not only the fumble that popped free, but Eisenhower was able to take it all the way back the other way. Amazing. 31-14 Wyomissing. And the crowd here on this side, the Southern Columbia fans, who were pretty excited for their team driving so well in the last minute here of the first half, they are stone cold silent right now. And the longest win streak in the country is very much in jeopardy. But it will be the second time this season that Southern Columbia trails by 17 at half. And when it happened 2 weeks ago, also against a team that begins with a W, Wyoming area, Southern Columbia won that game. So this baby ain't over yet, not by a long shot, because Southern Columbia has done it once and they know they can do it again. Little pooch kick there to an up man, Matt Masala. And I don't know if they'll just take a knee here and wind down the clock and get back to halftime. It was 17-6 after one quarter. And now 31-14, it appears, will be our halftime score. Amazing. All right, here, with an interception and now the fumble when he got hit on the blind side. He's going to give it a – oh, that's picked off. Aiden Mack. Now Mack is tackled at the 32 with 5 seconds left. A bad pass by Blake Wise. You're just trying for a little screen pass and seeing if you can get something out of it. And instead, Wyo might have a shot here. I don't think that Ian Levering has the leg to try a 49-yarder. And actually, it's at the 33, so it would be a 50-yarder. So, it went right to Aiden Mack. But he wasn't able to return it for a touchdown, and now they only have time for one more play here with 5 seconds left in the half. Let's see if they spread it out. Yeah, they've got Eisenhower wide right with Nevin Carter, and they're going to hand it off up the middle. They were hoping to pull some of the D away from the big mass down there. Wyomissing fans are rising to their feet in response to the Spartans players waving their hands up to the crowd. And some of the Southern Columbia fans are cheering as well and trying to encourage their team. But for the most part, there is a fair amount of stunned silence at Jim Roth Field at Tiger Stadium, where the host Southern Columbia Tigers and the longest win streak in the country here in the hills and in this tiny borough of Catawissa, Pennsylvania, it is very much in jeopardy as Bob Wolfram's Wyomissing Spartans travels up north for this inter-district game, District 3 against District 4, and Wyomissing leads on the road stunningly to me by this margin. It is Wyomissing 31, Southern Columbia 14 on the PCN Game of the Week. The WFA thanks the Southern Columbia Area School District Administration allowing us to bring you this broadcast. Their accommodations have been outstanding, and their press box cuisine is fantastic, and I love the Sloppy Joes. Thank you so much, Southern Columbia Area School District Administration, for the permission and the wonderful accommodations, allowing us to bring you this broadcast here on SFBN. A Football Family Book is the history of West Reading and Wyomissing area football, and I think it is absolutely terrific. Learn more about the history of Wyomissing area football. I've been paging through my book, learning so much, enjoying the heck out of it. Frank Ferrandino did a wonderful job. Contact Frank Ferrandino to purchase your copy for yourself or for a present for a friend. The holidays are not quite upon us, but they're not that far away. And you can also order yours at wyofootball.com. Also, one final note. The next home game for Wyomissing, we're still 3 weeks away, but on Saturday, October 23rd, the Wyomissing Football Association will be honoring 2 anniversary Class 3 district championship teams. from the class of 1991 team and the 2001 team. You don't even have to be in the class of 91 or 2001. If you were on those teams that won the district championship in 1991 or 2001, we want you to come back to the A field. We welcome all players on those teams to join their teammates on the field for pregame ceremonies and announcements. That's before the game on Saturday, October 23rd at the A field against the Schuylkill Valley Panthers. My name Bob Roadtruck. We come to you live from Southern Columbia High School, and the Wyomissing Spartans are looking mighty, mighty good here today and taking advantage of some ill-timed Southern Columbia turnovers. And at halftime, it's Wyomissing 31, Southern Columbia 14. The Tigers' 65-game win streak is very much in jeopardy. More in a little bit on SFBN. Bob Rotruck back with you from Southern Columbia High School. The longest win streak in the country is in jeopardy here in the small borough of Catawissa, Pennsylvania. And a wild first half between the Wyomissing Spartans and Southern Columbia Tigers. It is 31-14 at halftime. Let's take a look at the highlights, and we have some of them, not all of them. Here's Amory Thompson, the first of his 2 touchdowns. He's untouched all the way, and just 2 minutes and change into the game already, 7-0 Wyo, but Southern Columbia drives right back. This is number 3, Wes Barnes, speaking of untouched, and he plowed right through the middle and all the way in, 24 yards. Amory Thompson, where's the ball? Where's the ball? He's got to pick it up, and finally he does, and now look at this. That shouldn't have happened after there was such a delay, and it was a deep kick as well by their kicker, Isaac Carter. But Amory Thompson zigs and zags and hips and hops his way, 97 yards, rumbling, bumbling to the score for his second touchdown in the first 6 minutes of the game, and it was 14-6 Wyomissing. Now 17-6, and you had a blocked punt, you had an interception, and after the interception, it's Eisenhower himself. He had intercepted the ball in the backfield, and then he turns that into a 12-yard touchdown run. Look at Gavin Garcia spinning away like this. This is ludicrous. That was right after the Eisenhower touchdown, and Gavin Garcia, the reigning 2A Player of the Year, on his way to Kent State, 83-yard kickoff return. We've had a kickoff return for a touchdown for both teams, and he has 4 kickoff or punt returns for touchdowns. Kramer with the hit, and this is Eisenhower taking it to the house again. So he has 2 touchdowns and a fumble recovery and an interception. I would say Drew Eisenhower is having himself a game. That was with just a little bit of time remaining in the first half, like 30 seconds left, right? And he scores with 13 seconds. And Southern Columbia was driving. They were calling their timeouts, and they were down to the 30 or so. And a 74-yard, they were down to the 26, a 74-yard fumble recovery for a touchdown after the Matt Kramer hit on the blind side of sophomore quarterback Blake Wise, and Drew Eisenhower takes it to the house. So Amory Thompson with 2 touchdowns, Drew Eisenhower with 2 touchdowns, and an interception, and a fumble recovery. That's something else. The last time that Southern Columbia lost was in the state championship game in 2016. And they have won every single game they have played since then. 2017, rather. No, 2016 was their last loss. 2017 was the first of their 65 straight wins. On August 25th, 2017, they defeated Shamokin 55-7 to open the 2017 season. They haven't lost since, and by the way, we're in 2021 now. They still haven't lost. Their last loss was at Hershey Park Stadium. Otherwise, it would have been a 5-peat for Southern Columbia. They've won 4 in a row. They were that close to 5 in a row, but they lost in the state championship in 2016 on December 10th to Steel Valley, 49-7. They finished that season a very good 15-1, and, well, that was just the appetizer because they've won 65 in a row after that. The Clairton Bears won 65 straight from 2009 through 13. They beat the former record set by Central Bucks West, who had won 59 in a row from, 1997 through 2001. They had the old record before Clairton. Southern Columbia has the longest win streak in the country right now at 65 in a row. I don't know who has the second longest win streak. They took over the longest win streak in the country 3 weeks ago when Caledonia in Minnesota lost a game to end their streak, which I think was at 73 or something like that. Well, Southern Columbia at 65 is 1 away from the all-time state record. But for them to get to that state record will require a massive comeback here, which they've already done once on this streak. Now, I think their strategy in the second half might be to get the ball to Gavin Garcia. What do you have to lose here? He's their top player with over 5,500 all-purpose yards in his career. He's spectacular. He has an 83-yard kickoff return for a touchdown. But overall, other than that, he hasn't been as much of a factor in this game. 7 carries for 24 yards and 2 pass receptions for 16 yards. They have more or less bottled him up on his 7 carries. But do they give it to him some more? Because he's the guy who really drove that comeback for these guys 2 weeks ago. Garcia, this season, 928 all-purpose yards and 16 touchdowns, and then earlier today is 17th. Against Wyoming area, when they were down 17 at halftime, the strategy was get the ball to Garcia a bit more. He had 260 yards rushing in that game. He scored 5 touchdowns in that game. And Southern Columbia rallied from behind, and they won 37-31. I think we're going to see a lot more. And he had 16 tackles in that game, too. I think we're going to see a lot more of Gavin Garcia, who has not been as much of a factor. They've given it some to Barnes and some to Braden Wazlowski as well, who's coming back from injury, and he might not be the same as what he normally is. Let's see, I'm looking at some of the first half stats here as well. For Wyomissing, 6 carries for 77 yards and a touchdown. Drew Eisenhower, 7 carries, 46 yards. Little unusual, Tommy Grabowski, 9 carries for 27 yards. That's a little odd. Grabowski also has 2 receptions for 17 yards. Total yards, Wyomissing, let's see, total yardage, 186 yards to 101. Now, that doesn't include the kickoff returns. That's on runs and passes, not on the special teams. And not on the fumble recovery either, that Eisenhower took 74 yards to the house. Turnovers are the big deal here. With the 2 interceptions and the blocked punt, the high snap on the missed extra point, well, they made up for that with the 2-point conversion. On the ground, Southern Columbia, 16 carries for 67 yards rushing in the first half. And that will not do, and that's very unusual for the Southern Columbia Tigers. Wyomissing running attack, 23 carries for 158 yards. Kudos and thank yous to Mitch Rupert covering this game for MikeDragosports.com, who had all the stats, and all I have to do is look on his Twitter and get all the numbers. Good guy is Mitch, and a good writer, and he'll have a good article about this game tomorrow, I can guarantee it. And here we are underway in the second half, and he's scrambling all over the place there trying to get out of there is Loudon Murphy. And he ran more east to west than north-south. And Southern Columbia's comeback efforts begin now, with Wyomissing leading the Tigers 31-14. Not only 65 in a row for Southern Columbia, they have not lost in the regular season since 2011. 93 straight wins in the regular season, but they might not make it to 94 here unless they can overcome a 17-point deficit, which they've done once this season. 2 weeks ago, they were down 24-7 at halftime. And look at this. Here's Gavin Garcia. See you later. Amazing. He is spectacular to watch. And he just got one of those scores back on the first play from scrimmage of the second half. Gavin Garcia. Did we not tell you? I mean, it's pretty easy to see that they were going to give it to Gavin Garcia some more. 61 yards. Had a couple of blocks there. Amory Thompson got blocked a little bit. And there I saw Jack Miller, number 59, had kind of a hand on his ankle. Some couldn't bring him down. That's what Bob Wolfram told me about Gavin Garcia. If you make contact with him, you better bring him down because otherwise he's going to slip away. Garcia for 61 yards, and the kick for Isaac Carter is good. And ladies and gentlemen, I think we've got a ball game again. I mean, if you thought this was in the bag for Wyomissing, think again, says Gavin Garcia. And now it's 31-21 on a 61-yard run from the 39 on the first play of the second half. And what did I say Garcia had in the first half? 7 carries for 24 yards. And now his 8th carry goes for 61 yards. I mean, that's Gavin Garcia. Kent State, the Golden Flashes of Kent, Ohio, in the Mid-American Conference, they are getting a good one. His older brother, Gage Garcia, set the Pennsylvania touchdown record, went to the University of Michigan, has since transferred to Lehigh University. He loves the wrestling also. Speaking of multi-sports, Javen Williams getting all those offers from the Power 5 conferences. He won the District 3 Class AA shot put as a sophomore, 52 feet 3 inches. Third in Pennsylvania when he threw a 54-7 as well. All right, let's see what they can do on the return here, and not much happening for Drew Eisenhower. Wyomissing's offense is going to have to keep on churning out the points and the big plays. Southern Columbia gifted them a couple, I think, on the interception and the blocked punt and the fumble recovery. You know, Wyomissing made some big plays in there, but Southern Columbia shot themselves in the foot a couple of times. But if Wyo doesn't keep up the pace here in the second half, it's going to be very difficult. They're up by 10, and, well, all the momentum swings back to Southern Columbia after they get that Gavin Garcia 61-yard score. And the team that's down by 10 has all the momentum now. I mean, you just felt it shift on that play to begin the second half. And now the first Wyomissing play from scrimmage of the second half goes for about 3. 2nd and 7 for the Wyomissing Spartans. This is a spectacular game. It really is. With all the storylines going into this, the two active winningest coaches in Pennsylvania, two small school powerhouses. Wyomissing has won 20 straight in the regular season. That's nothing to sneeze at. Sounds like nothing compared to 65. Amory Thompson on the sweep, trying to turn the corner. Nothing happening. They caught up to him. Well, now there's a flag on the play. And I don't think there was any kind of late hit. The flag seemed to come in before he was brought down. I think that a while might have been called for a hold there. There was, kind of a mess of players out there. Now he's pointing to the flag. Are they going to pick up the flag, or what are they doing? It is a hold on Wyo. Yeah, I saw one of the linemen on top of a Southern Columbia player. And so the give to Amo Thompson, and you saw the fake give to Tommy Grabowski. Ben Zekman has so much deception. Well, you know what? Honestly, I thought there was a hold that came in. They might have called 2 holds because I thought I saw a hold after the flag had come in. And this is where the conditioning and, sucking it up and giving it everything you got left in the tank comes into play. And you still have 10.5 to go in the third quarter. We're not even close to the finish line yet. But it's going to get pretty intense from here. Look at this big hole. Holy smoke. This is Charlie McIntyre. All the way back the other way for a touchdown. 82 yards for Charlie McIntyre. Are you kidding me? This game is crazy. On the pitch to McIntyre. There was a big block there by Javen Williams. I think in the lingo they call that a pancake. I mean, he just laid him out over there. Did Javen Williams on his way to a Power 5 school with offers from Penn State, Michigan, Pitt, Temple, Maryland, Illinois, Virginia Tech, West Virginia, on and on. McIntyre for 82 yards. And now Levering on for the extra point. And hang on, it is encroachment against Southern Columbia. And so they will decline the penalty and go with the extra point again. Let's go. Here we go. We're less than 2 minutes into the third quarter, and both teams already have big touchdown runs. Gavin Garcia for Southern Columbia. And Levering's kick, boy, they almost got in there to get a hand on it, I felt like. But Levering's kick is good. He is a perfect 5 for 5 and with a 22-yard field goal. So really 6 of 6. And McIntyre does it again, and now it is Wyomissing back up by 17 as both teams trade huge runs. Gavin Garcia for 61 yards, Charlie McIntyre for 82 yards. With 10:17 left in the third quarter, and it's 38-17. PCN's Game of the Week is back next Friday, October 8th. Danville against Mount Carmel, live at 7 p.m. Watch the game on cable on PCN or stream with the PCN Select app. I certainly think we chose a good one for this week's PCN Game of the Week. 38-21, Wyomissing. So it's a 93-game win streak in the regular season for Southern Columbia. Last time they lost in the regular season, October 28th, 2011. So just shy of exactly a decade ago, they lost against Mount Carmel 22-21. That was the last time they lost a regular season game a decade ago. And he's trying to drop a dime in there as Ian Levering on sort of an onside kick attempt. Wyomissing is going to try that sometimes, and it also keeps the ball away from Gavin Garcia, who already has a big kickoff return for a touchdown, and he was tremendous. And so you give him decent field position, and here's Wes Barnes. It looks like he is hurt on the play. you give them decent field position as a sacrifice, but keeping it away from Gavin Garcia and maybe getting an up man to juggle the ball and get an onside situation, that's what you get out of this, because the last time, one of the last times, late in the first half, they did a full kickoff, and Gavin Garcia was going east-west and all over the place in an 83-yard kickoff return. He is so fast. And the way that he had the breakaway speed to burn past Amory Thompson, who I already know is fast because I've seen him play before, and Gavin Garcia looked to be faster. And they're both really fast. Okay, so Wes Barnes was hurt, and he comes off, and we hope that he is okay. And already, scores on the board for both teams here in the second half. I wonder if Wyo's trying to step some guys up there. It almost looked like they were pinching on the D-line. J.J. Jackson was trying to get to Gavin Garcia there, and then bumped out of bounds a little bit by Drew Eisenhower. But Garcia got a nice big run of 9 or 10. Did he get 10? Yeah, he got a first down on that. So Gavin Garcia, who had 28 yards in the first half, has a 61-yard run in the second half and an 11-yard run. 24 yards is what he had in the first half. 24 in the first half, but now 72 in the second half. First down, Southern Columbia. Wyomissing leads by 17. Here is Wazlowski in all kinds of trouble, and he's just diving forward to get back to the line, and we had a penalty flag on the play too. And also a Wyomissing player that looks to be a little hurt, and I don't know if that's any kind of cramping or something else that's going on. It's a holding against Southern Columbia, and I can't make out the number on the injured Wyomissing player there on the field. And here, very briefly, it gives everybody an opportunity to catch their breath a little bit. And I think they're going to need to save their energy for the end of this one, because this is it's a shootout in a way, but they're not passing the ball. I mean, that's the crazy thing. I mean, these run-dominated wing T teams, boy, they are helping up Jack Miller. That's who I was afraid it was. And Jack Miller gets up to his feet, and now he's kind of walking off on his own here. I mean, he's hobbling some, but they're not carrying him off or anything. So Jack Miller with 23 tackles, second on the team, trailing only Tommy Grabowski. A blocked punt earlier this season and another blocked punt earlier today, and he's one of the defensive leaders for Wyomissing, but he's out of the lineup for now. Bring it back, though, on the holding call, so it is first and 20 for Southern Columbia. From way back on their own 43, Wise back to throw, drops it off for Gavin Garcia, and he got back to the line of scrimmage there a little bit, and maybe a couple more. So a gain of 2 or so on the pass completion from sophomore quarterback Blake Wise. Second and 18 for the Tigers of Southern Columbia. I can't even fathom 93 in a row. I mean, I know that these types of things happen in high school football, but 93, you win every game in the regular season for a decade. It's just ludicrous. And that streak is in jeopardy here today. It's historic. Oh, look at this. And he got away. Can you believe that? He should have been brought down for a loss of 5. And I feel like that was Matt Kramer that might have had him. And Gavin Garcia is just straight up slippery. I mean, seriously. Well, Kramer and J.J. Jackson were there. It wasn't Kramer that had a chance at him. It was Rory Falloon, and you think you got him, and then Gavin Garcia says, no, see you, forget it. And it was Amory Thompson who got down there and kind of went down low to trip up Gavin Garcia. Amory Thompson, who had 2 touchdowns in the first 6 minutes of this game. All right, it's 3rd and 14 from the 50. And this is an interesting play, too. Are they going to pass it, give it, I'm looking for Garcia there. He's out in the left slot. And we had a flag on the play, and it goes against Southern Columbia. They got to delay a game. Yeah, they didn't get the snap off. And they were almost late for a play late in the first half when they were running out of time with about a minute left. They had to sprint out of their huddle. And they have Blake Wise going over to the sideline. And on the near sideline, he comes in and talks with his coaches and gets the play. Instead of all the signals and stuff, he comes all the way over and then has to run back over. And they only have 8 seconds left on the play clock. They just took a delay of game, and now they're pushing it on this one. They're down to 4, 3. You know, they got the play off, but that's how long it takes. And he airs it out. This is another interception. That's his 3rd interception of the game. And it's Nevin Carter this time to pick it off from Blake Wise. Wise threw it up for grabs, and it was practically right at Nevin Carter, who's the top wide receiver on this team and a 3-year starter as a quarterback. Blake Wise aired it out, and it went all the way to Nevin Carter. And, I mean, the receiver out there was Wislowski, and he knew it. I mean, he tackled Carter instead of going for the ball. He wouldn't have been able to get to the ball. That's 3 picks. That's the most in a game this season for Wyomissing. And again, this is not their regular starting quarterback. Liam Klebon is out with an injury. And so that certainly impedes Southern Columbia's comeback efforts. The give there up the middle, that's not Grabowski, is it? No, that is 24 Eisenhower. And he maybe gained 1. Up by 17, it is 38-14, or I should say 38-21 for Wyomissing, who led at the half 31-14. You know, shooting themselves in the foot is one thing, but give some credit here to this Wyomissing team. They're playing a heck of a game. And, you know, they're picking up all these scores offensively as well. Pitch it out and trying to roll over to the right there is Drew Eisenhower with 2 touchdowns today. Also an interception, and one of his touchdowns on a fumble recovery after a hit by Matt Kramer with 13 seconds left in the quarter. I mean, that was stunning. Well, here, Eisenhower maybe got 3 or so. 3rd and 6 from their own 38 for the Spartans. Southern Columbia grabs all the headlines, but down in Berks County, Wyomissing's pretty good. 9 times they've won the D3 championship, 11 times in their Berks League as well. Here's Eisenhower again. He might have turned that into a first down. It certainly is going to be close depending on where they spot it. And, yeah, I think he got it on a gain of 6. Nope, no, maybe not. He didn't spot it as well for Wyomissing as I was anticipating. 4th and less than a yard, I should say, from the 44. Now, do they punt this here? I mean, I think you go for it here with 4th and a little over a foot. Might be a keeper for Zekman. Nope, it's going to be Grabowski to just jump his way over the pile, and it certainly looks like he got there. With Javen Williams in there, Cooper Young entering the game, number 79, had a block there, and it's a first down for Wyomissing. They've tried that play on 4th and 1 or 4th and goal from the 1 or 2 a few times this year, and it's always worked for Grabowski just going over the top. But now another Wyomissing player is injured. Is that 22 Grabowski who's hurt on that play? I think it might be. It is. So Grabowski would be a big loss on both sides of the ball, and he is really hobbling off and hurting after he got the first down. Grabowski is one of their top linebackers as well. He has 28 tackles coming in to lead this team, and he's also their top ball carrier. So losing 22 Tommy Grabowski on an injury, that is impactful for Wyomissing. He got the first down, but it might be a costly first down. Eisenhower has been great, though, and so has Amory Thompson. We hadn't seen as much from Charlie McIntyre until he ran 82 yards for a touchdown. Here is Amory Thompson, and he's stuffed at the line of scrimmage. Feel like the pace is kind of slowing a little bit because it had to. There's no way they could have kept up this pace, I feel like. It's a crazy offensive shootout for 2 teams that barely ever pass the ball. I mean, not never, but certainly they run a whole lot more than they pass. All right, he had 3 on the game there for Amory Thompson. 2nd and 7. In the third quarter, Wyomissing leads at Southern Columbia 38-21. Amory Thompson is in motion. Give it to J.J. Jackson. And the big man at fullback breaks a tackle, and he turns that into a gain of almost 15 when it looked like he was going to have a gain of maybe a couple. And Javan Williams is there to smack J.J. Jackson on the helmet, and kudos on a big pickup to the 39. I mean, it looked like he was going to be brought down for a loss, and he just barreled over the Southern Columbia defender. And, I mean, he hit J.J. Jackson even hit another defender there, defensive back Ashton Hellwig, but Hellwig got enough of him to bring him down. But number 7, J.J. Jackson, you try bringing down all 240 pounds of the 6'3" tall junior big man. Jemai, J.J. Jackson, and now here's another big run, and here comes Eisenhower trying to get to the pylon. He's pushed out of bounds at about the 5. Eisenhower, who had 2 touchdowns already, and that goes for about 34 yards, down to the 6. It was on the 39, so it's a 33-yard run for Eisenhower. I saw Cooper Young with a block. I saw Javan Williams knock down a man. And then I saw Drew Eisenhower almost with breakaway speed, and I saw Southern Columbia player that shoved him out of bounds, kind of looking up to the sky in frustration after that big pickup that gives Wyomissing 1st and goal from the 6. Number 7 is J.J. Jackson behind him to give us Eisenhower tripped up in the backfield. They blasted their way through and brought him down on a big stop for number 65, Joe Quinton, defensive lineman. 6 feet tall and 200 pounds. Southern Columbia had that big fourth quarter stop 2 weeks ago against Wyoming area when it was a 1-point game. They need another big stop here. Well, it's a 17-point game, and they're trying to prevent it from becoming practically a 4-score game at 24. Technically 3 touchdowns with 3 2-point conversions, I guess. All right, Ben Zeckman rolling right. It's complete. Can he get to the end zone? No. So some good coverage there. And kind of trying to shove him away was J.J. Jackson there, but it's 3rd and goal now for Wyomissing at the 4. And similarly, earlier in this game, in the second quarter, in the first quarter, they got close and kicked a field goal. I have a feeling they would kick a field goal to make it 20 points here. On the right hash doesn't help a whole lot, but they might punch it in right now. They'd prefer to do that. It's the reverse, and he didn't get there. Amory Thompson gave it back to Charlie McIntyre. Southern Columbia was wise to it, and they've caught him on that reverse a couple of times. Good heads up there for Southern Columbia. They got it back towards the middle of the field. And with that, I think Ian Levering comes in. And he does, and it'll be Ian Levering on the field goal try to make it a 20-point margin. Levering's perfect today, 5 of 5 on extra points, and he has a 22-yard field goal, and this one is also a 22-yard attempt. Ben Zeckman to hold, and the kick, it is up, it is good. Levering is a perfect 7 for 7 today on extra points and field goals. And this 22-yarder for Ian Levering makes it Wyomissing 41, Southern Columbia 21. And we're down to 14 minutes to go in the game pretty much. 2:33 left in the third quarter. PCN's Game of the Week brings you all of the Pennsylvania high school football action all season. Watch the Game of the Week on Fridays and Saturdays at 7 p.m. Visit PCNTV.com for more info and a complete schedule. Bob Rotruck here with you from Catawissa, Pennsylvania, population 1,552, and in this scenic town in the hills here, up in coal country really, in northeast central Pennsylvania. you wouldn't necessarily come into town and go, oh, this must be the place that has the longest win streak in the country. But they have such a tradition-rich program here. 11 state titles, including 4 in a row for Pennsylvania's all-time winningest football coach. But that win streak now very much in jeopardy, trailing by 20 late in the third quarter for the Southern Columbia Tigers. Little pooch kick from Ian Levering. You better hurry and get to that ball. It's not like a punt. You better jump on that. Amory Thompson was hoping to chase it down, and Thompson did chase down and up the middle squib kick by about 20, 25 yards on an onside kick earlier this season. I want to say it was against Hamburg, but I can't remember for sure. But he has an onside kick recovery. Just, bounce it out there and then let Amory Thompson, your fastest guy or one of your fastest guys, go racing after it. Okay, so from their own 29-yard line, and let's see if we get the Gavin Garcia show a little bit more here again. Down by 20. He had a 5-touchdown game when they recovered from a 17-point deficit against Wyoming area. But this is not Garcia. This is Wesleski instead. You want to talk about fast, the 100-meter champion in track in PIAA 2A. There, he couldn't turn the corner, though. Wasn't fast enough, and he got dropped for a loss of a yard. 2nd and 11. You just get the feeling that this it's a 20-point game. And you have the feeling that this isn't over. not by a long shot. Not with this team's comeback potential and abilities and what Gavin Garcia has done before. And here he is again. And he dodged inside of Nevin Carter, and then he kind of bowled over Drew Eisenhower a little bit. Looking out there on the Wyomissing defensive side of the ball, I see Tommy Grabowski back out there, and remember, he left the game with an injury holding against Southern Columbia. Boy, you talk about shooting themselves in the foot. Turnovers and penalties at just the worst times, repeatedly, I think, in this game. So while Wyomissing has played a good game, Southern Columbia is making this harder and harder on themselves. They're helping Wyomissing. They're, with penalties like that at the bad times, and you mark it from the spot of the foul, so now you've got 2nd and 23 or so. You're handing it to Wyomissing when you make goofs like that, the turnovers, and some not as much the penalties, but certainly they haven't helped. Barnes takes this one up the middle for a couple. And anyway, so Tommy Grabowski, who had left the game with an injury, he has since returned. Well, if Southern Columbia can't come back in this game, they'll look to start a new win streak next week. They're at 65 in a row, and after next week, if they win again, they'll be at 1. Start over. Start the count again. Wyomissing will have made it 21 regular season wins in a row, and their all-time school record is 22. All right, it's aired out and kind of a missed route there, and now a Wyo player goes down. What the heck happened to Nevin Carter? He stopped short, and I don't know if he pulled a calf muscle or what. I was looking at him, and he just went down hard without any contact, I don't think. But he's very clearly hurt, and I mean, it could be calf or he felt it in his knee or something. But I mean, the ball was overthrown. It's always just jogging there, and then he just goes down. But you know what? Knee injuries or anything else, pulling a calf muscle, they can be crazy sometimes. And now we're getting, lots of different guys going down with different injuries here. Nevin Carter is their top receiver and one of their top men in the secondary as well. They're going to help him to his feet. And now, boy, he is really in agony. This is frustrating to see for this young man, Nevin Carter, who is a senior receiver, and he's 6'5". So he had 5 receptions in a game earlier this year, which is very unusual for Wyomissing. But he's got that advantage on the height, and he's going to be taller than pretty much any, safety or cornerback that covers him for the most part. So you can throw it up for grabs, and there's a pretty good chance that Nevin Carter, who also plays basketball, is going to be the guy that comes down with the ball. But he is really hobbling. They got that shoe off of his right foot. I think they did. And, I mean, he can't even really walk normally on the right foot as he comes off. So Nevin Carter is out of the game, and that appears to be somewhat serious, I think. Keep up with Pennsylvania high school football and PCN on social media. Follow PCN on Facebook and Twitter at PCN TV. And you can also watch the PIAA Football Championships this December with your friend and mine, Steve Dagler. And it's on PCN. Visit PCNTV.com for more. Okay, so here's the punt. And Amory Thompson is going to let it bounce. It'll take a Southern Columbia friendly hop all the way down to the Wyomissing 28-yard line. They will begin from there with under a minute to go in the third quarter. And everyone's really, really quiet on this side. I think they were excited for this Wyomissing game. I think there are a lot of fans, and I overheard a couple people here in the press box as well. You know, why did they schedule this team in the first place? Why did they bring Wyomissing here? I mean, they're not even in the same section. Well, it's a matter of two coaches getting together, and they want the challenge. And these are two teams that, you know, they play a lot of blowout wins. They're so much better than their competition most of the time, more often than not. And these types of tests in the regular season where they actually meet a team that they can match up well against and have a tough game against really helps prepare them for districts and the playoffs, where you're not going to have the pushovers, or certainly not as frequently. Holding against Wyomissing on that play. So it was a couple of years ago, Bob Wolfram of Wyomissing was telling me that they were chatting and he chatted with Jim Roth at a coaches conference at Penn State, and they explored the possibility maybe we can play each other, and they arranged to do a home-and-home. They were supposed to play at Wyomissing last year. I can promise you that on this broadcast there are all kinds of Wyomissing Spartans players who are watching as well. And the seniors were supposed to play these guys last year, and they have since now obviously advanced past YO, but they're kind of enjoying this game vicariously through the younger next wave of talent that they've handed off to in Wyomissing. Joining a new league next year, you get the Berks League, the Inter-County League it used to be. This is the last year for that league. And instead of a merger for a big super league with the Lancaster-Lebanon League, which I think most are looking forward to. All right, we wind down in the third quarter here. The Southern Columbia fans are, some of them up on their feet and trying to encourage their guys. And they're hoping their team still has enough in them to mount an awesome 20-point comeback, but they only have 12 minutes left to do it. Wyomissing 41, Southern Columbia 21 on the PCN Game of the Week. A Football Family Book is the history of West Reading and Wyomissing area football, and it's terrific, and I have enjoyed my copy of it immensely. I'm going to page through it some more, and guess what? This is going to go, there are pages in there on some of the great wins all time in Wyomissing history. This one will become one of those great wins if Wyomissing can hang on. Contact Frank Ferrandino to purchase your copy of A Football Family. The WFA would like to thank the Southern Columbia Area School District Administration for allowing us to bring you this broadcast. They've been very accommodating. And we thank the following establishments supporting the WFA and Wyomissing football: the Berkshire Family Restaurant, GNA Restaurant in West Reading, and the Hitching Post in Leesport, PA. Second and long for Wyomissing after the penalty at the end of the third quarter. And Southern Columbia, again, they need a big stop. I mean, they're really in desperate straits here. And they pushed them backwards. And Wyo might be wearing down a little bit offensively, or at least on this drive. It's not going so well. And they're going more backwards and forwards after they had all those big plays in the first half and early in the third quarter. McIntyre for 82 yards. All right, third and long. J.J. Jackson is in, not Tommy Grabowski. It's to Amory Thompson, who's trying to strong-arm a man away and looking to turn the corner and really couldn't do much. He gained a few, but this will be a 3-and-out for Wyo. And Riker Jones will come on to punt it away. You know what? I mean, honestly, I don't feel like this is a done deal for Wyomissing. You know, Southern Columbia, if any team could do it, down 3 touchdowns in the fourth quarter, you feel like this is the team, Gavin Garcia, this is the group that could do it. Good boot there for Riker Jones. And to the 45 is where Blake Wise and Southern Columbia will take over, trying to avoid a regular season loss for the first time in almost a full decade. It was October 2011, the last time they lost a regular season game, when they lost to Mount Carmel 22-21, October 28, 2011. It hasn't happened since. A decade straight, 93 straight regular season, 65 win streak, 65-game win streak in total, including all the tournament games. All right, here's Waslowski again. And around left end, and he got about 3 on the play. I mean, Gavin Garcia is out there, but Waslowski, you know, he's got breakaway speed as well if he can get to the open field. The fastest guy in the state. And so they're giving it a try with him a couple times, too. 2nd and 8. All right, here is Barnes kind of leaping over a couple guys on the line. And nicely tripped up there. That was Jack Miller. And Miller left the game earlier with an injury as well, and I had commented that he's one of their top linebackers, but he walked off a little carefully. Here comes Nevin Carter into the game now, too, and Carter had just left with an injury. So all 3 guys for Wyomissing who had been down with injuries that we had identified, they've all returned, which is great to see, you know, and so apparently not. Oh, look at him scrambling backwards like this, and now he's going to get wrapped up. They'll catch up to him. I mean, all kinds of fired up there as Jack Miller as well. So dangerous. I mean, he's just trying to get some more space when Garcia's going backwards like that. But Jack Miller and the rest of the YO gang stayed with him, and I feel like Julian DeMeo, number 60, and 15, Matt Kramer might have been up there too. I mean, he kind of, you know, didn't get tackled for a loss of 20 or whatever, but it's a 4th down. It's a punt for Southern Columbia. Amory Thompson is deep to return. Isaac Carter will boot it away. Already one blocked punt. Oh, almost another. Man, really close call. Amory Thompson, the fair catch there. Really close call on the blocked punt. That was Riker Jones who almost blocked it. And Jones is the Wyomissing punter. Have you ever heard of a punter that blocks a punt? He almost did. Boy, there was a really big scramble down on the other side, and Wyo's got it. There was a fumble on the play. And Wyo, who has not had a turnover all season, almost did there with Braden Waslowski getting in there, but Amory Thompson recovered and got there to it after dropping the ball on the fair catch. I was looking at Riker Jones almost blocking it, but then there was the big scramble for the ball there. Yeah, didn't he signal fair catch? That's the interesting part. And there's Andrew Delp getting in there, 23 also. And, I mean, big fight for the ball. There's a lot of pats on the helmets there from players on both sides. So a lot of sportsmanship being shown here and kind of an emotional moment for a team that hasn't had much experience losing. The seniors have never lost. None of the players on this team have lost. Isn't that incredible? Charlie McIntyre wanted to turn the corner there. He got about 5, and so maybe almost 6 for McIntyre. 2nd and 4 for Wyomissing. And we're down to 8:33 to go in the game, and the Spartans leading 41-21, stretching their 17-point halftime lead to 20 points at the end of the third. 2 touchdowns for Amory Thompson, 2 touchdowns for Drew Eisenhower, a touchdown for Charlie McIntyre, and a couple field goals for Ian Levering. Pitch that out of the left. Look out, that's all kinds of trouble. Grabowski got nowhere at all. And Wes Barnes caught up to him and brought him down for a loss of about 3. 3rd and 7. I mean, the pace was something else. In the first quarter, 17-6. By halftime, 31-14. And then trading touchdowns on long runs. Garcia for 61 yards for Southern Columbia. McIntyre for 82 yards for Wyomissing. And in the first 2 minutes of the third quarter, the score was already 38-21. But since then, just one field goal, 3-0. Since the 10-minute mark to go in the third quarter. So it has absolutely slowed considerably. Here's Riker Jones on to punt now. And Southern Columbia needs 3 touchdowns, and they're only going to have 7 minutes to do it. So they're in, I mean, we already knew they were in trouble, but now it's getting really desperate. Punted to the 26 where Amory Thompson catches it on a couple of bounces. Let's see what the Tigers can do here. They need a score, and preferably they need it quick. They can't have a long methodical drive. I mean, there's only 7 minutes and change left. 7 minutes and 11 seconds remaining in the longest win streak in the country, potentially. You know, some of the fans are grabbing their coats, and they feel like this is probably over. Well, they might be right, but the Tigers have other things in mind here. Well, they're catching up to him in the backfield. Kramer got there to him. J.J. Jackson, too. Aiden Mack was all over him, chasing after him. Mack looked like he was a little stung up on the play. Kramer ultimately gets the tackle. I think Mack is okay. And he went all the way across the field there for a gain of 1, it looked like. 2nd and 9 for Southern Columbia. In the first ever meeting between Wyomissing and Southern Columbia, right now it looks like Bob Wolfram is going to have the better of Jim Roth in this matchup of 2 legendary coaches. Classy gentlemen who have, you know, they're not exactly of the generation or era of their players, but they certainly have all their respect. And I mean, they have players that are just ready to go to war for their bosses on the sidelines. And not just the head coaches, but all the assistant coaches, too. All right, 3rd down and 6. And here's Wise dropping back to throw. As a receiver, it is caught for a first down. Nevin Carter there on the coverage. And it was complete to Jake Rose. And he got out of bounds with 5:51 to go in the game. I mean, they're getting some yards here. They had the 1 touchdown on the first play from scrimmage of the second half. And you knew that Gavin Garcia would be the big man if they were going to make this comeback, but he's been a non-factor, and that's the only score that they've had in the second half. He's going to air it out, but he's going to overthrow everyone. Well past Weslasky, the intended receiver, and Nevin Carter on the coverage. So once Garcia had that 61-yard touchdown run on the first play from scrimmage in the second half, that made it 31-21. And you had the very distinct impression that Wyomissing with a 10-point lead, the momentum was on Southern Columbia's side, and they'd served notice right from the very beginning of the second half that they had full intentions on pulling off a big comeback. But Wyo has kind of slammed the door on these guys after that, and Southern Columbia hasn't scored since then. And here they'll take the sweep. Get a few yards on that play on the handoff around left end, and maybe a gain of 6 or 7 or so for Garcia. And now another injured player, Jemai Jackson, is slow to get up. This is J.J. Jackson. He's trying to shake it off. Looks like number 7, J.J., is going to stay in there. And he's been really good at giving some breathers there for Grabowski when J.J. Jackson has gone in as a fullback, too. Their play clock is down to 5, and they break the huddle. And, I mean, the game clock is running, you know, and they don't have time to mess around. 5 minutes to go in the game. Plow it up the middle. Oh, and he's taking some tacklers with him, too. I mean, you know, he's not the biggest guy in the world, 5'9" and 185 pounds, is Gavin Garcia, but he'll drag you along with him and get a first down. And again, the clock is running here, and there's not a whole lot of urgency in some ways. Now there's some more urgency. I mean, they've got to get plays off before it gets down to single digits. We're down to 4:40 to go, and they're just gaining little bits of yardage there. Throw it out of the right flat for a gain of nothing. I mean, he would have been better off to not even catch that ball, though. I don't think it was a lateral. But anyway, it was complete to Jake Rose. It would have been close to, going backwards. I think it was forwards. Rose is kind of hobbling his way. You got to look at number 29, Jake Rose. These guys are giving it all they got. This is a hallmark win for Wyomissing, which is what it appears is going to happen here. Here's a handoff up the middle for Barnes, and down to the 32. He gets a first down. So Southern Columbia is driving, and they might end up getting a touchdown out of this, the way they're driving the ball right now. But they're very quickly running out of time. Obviously, they can try for an onside kick. They need to do 2 of these. There was a game, I want to say, in California, and I saw it on ESPN on Facebook, and a team that had like 3 touchdowns in the last minute to come back. Actually, New Mexico. Did he fumble it? He did. And Wyomissing thinks they have the ball. J.J. Jackson was in there. Looked like Garcia got to it. I think it was wishful thinking, hopeful thinking from Wyomissing. Southern got there to it. Southern Columbia hung on before J.J. Jackson 7 could get it back for Wyo. And we're down to 3:20 to go in the game. Oh, they were trying to reverse is what it was, and it kind of got botched there because Grabowski had come in and gotten them before he could hand it off again. Okay, 2nd and 15, and Wise is going to throw it out to the left flat, incomplete. Great coverage there. These guys are so fired up. They can feel it. They can taste it. The cheering is coming from way across from us. The Wyomissing fan contingent came out in force for this historic win for Wyomissing is what it's shaping up to be. Matt Kramer and Jack Miller were on the coverage there and celebrating. And on the incomplete pass, there's 2:59 left, and the clock stopped. It is 3rd and 15 from the Wyo 36. They got this ball with about 7 minutes left. What they needed was a quick drive and quick score, but, that's easy for me to say. Wise is going to air it out. Another interception for Wyo. It's their 4th of the game. It's the 2nd pick for Nevin Carter. An interception for Wyomissing, and that'll do it. That'll seal it for Wyomissing, and the 65-game win streak of the Southern Columbia Tigers, the longest in the country, one shy of the all-time Pennsylvania record. It's going to come to an end tonight. Nevin Carter, can you tell that he's a wide receiver too? He's their top wide receiver. They don't pass much, but he gets pretty excited when they call a passing play. Incredible. An incredible night here for Wyo, who came ready to play. Amory Thompson, a 41-yard touchdown run in the first 2 minutes of the game. And then after Wes Barnes got it back a couple minutes later and the high snap on the missed extra point, Amory Thompson, a 97-yard kickoff return, 14-6, and Ian Levering a field goal, 17-6. You had a blocked punt and an interception in there. This is a Wyomissing team on the verge of going 6-0. They have not had a single turnover all season. We almost saw their first when Amory Thompson had a tough time handling that fair catch, I think it was, on the punt just a couple minutes ago. They have not had a single turnover. That's just incredible, especially with all the reverses. They have the double handoff plays and misdirections. They've had a couple close calls. They put the ball on the ground a couple times. They've had fumbles, just that they haven't lost them. But I've never heard of a team not having a single turnover in 6 games. And this one will make waves all across Pennsylvania. Obviously, I mean, all eyes were focused on the hills of southern Columbia County in Catawissa, Pennsylvania, and the longest win streak in the country. That now we have less than 2 minutes left in that win streak. And kudos to Southern Columbia. They wanted to take on the challenge. They wanted to take on the best. And Jim Roth said it earlier. And he told me, in a game like this with a playoff atmosphere and this kind of a matchup, win or lose, you benefit. And that's what his message will be to his players as well after this game. We lose this game, we lost our win streak, we benefit because now we've seen a real challenge. And they, you learn from your mistakes. Here they're in one more huddle. And YO, with 1 minute to go and a real landmark victory for them, one of their great wins in the long history of this program that's had a lot of good wins. And here's another big run. That's Tommy Grabowski. Gavin Garcia, who was one of their top defensive players, as well as one of the top running backs. He had the tackle, and now, we've got just a couple snaps left. Down to 35 seconds to go. And it's a victory formation for Ben Zeckman at quarterback, who takes a knee. And that is it. And they're going bananas on the Wyomissing side. And now a standing ovation on the Southern Columbia side. Because a 65-game win streak is something that you might never see again. It's an incredible streak. And it comes to an end officially right now. The clock reads zeros. And the longest win streak in the country for the Southern Columbia Tigers is no more. It's the first time they have lost in the regular season in a decade. A 93-game win streak. They had not lost in the regular season since October 28, 2011 against Mount Carmel 22-21. They had not lost any game of any type since 2016 and the state championship game, and since then they have won 65 in a row. And look at how excited these Wyomissing Spartans players are as they celebrate with their fans across the way from us on the far side bleachers. This is the game that they wanted, that they circled from the beginning of the season. They had 5 straight blowout wins and really hadn't faced any challenges in there in their early 5 opponents. And, I mean, they're used to that. They're used to winning games pretty comfortably. This is their 21st consecutive regular season win. And coming into this season, they weren't sure how good they would be. They thought they would be pretty good, but they lost a lot of seniors, and so there were a lot of new guys being pushed into some big roles. But now they have a pretty good idea how good they are and how good they can be, because they just ended the longest win streak in the country, and they did it on the road. Now, some might say, consider that Southern Columbia didn't have all their best players, including their quarterback, Liam Klebon. And they're correct that this is not the same Southern Columbia team that even had the comeback win 2 weeks ago when they were trailing at 17 at halftime against Wyoming area. That's true, but Wyomissing was still the better team even without some of the plays where Southern Columbia impacted their comeback efforts. For Wyomissing, 2 touchdowns for Amory Thompson, 2 touchdowns for Drew Eisenhower, including an interception and a fumble recovery for a touchdown, a 74-yard run. McIntyre, an 82-yard touchdown run. 2 field goals for Ian Levering. 4 interceptions total, including 2 for Nevin Carter. And the Wyomissing Spartans, a historic win. They give up a touchdown on the first play from scrimmage of the second half when Gavin Garcia made it a 10-point game at 31-21. And Southern Columbia looked like they were going to make this a big-time difficult issue for YO to end the win streak, but that ended up being the last score that Southern Columbia would get. You really felt like momentum had gone to Southern Columbia's side after Garcia had that 61-yard touchdown run with 11:39 left in the third quarter. They didn't score any more after that. They were shut out the rest of the way for almost the entire second half. And so the Wyomissing Spartans and head coach Bob Wolfram, and there you see him in the middle and kind of at the end of the pile close to our screen, handshakes and hugs with his assistant coaches. And it's his 328th win as the Wyomissing Spartans head coach. He's been there, done that. He's won a few games. He won a state championship in 2012. Well, this one is special, and he told his players that. This is special, and some players go their entire lives or careers without getting to play in a game like this, especially a game in a mid-season that has this kind of a playoff feel. And he told his players, enjoy it. And they did. And they were ready, and they were prepared, and they led 17-6 after one quarter, 31-14 at halftime, and they win and defeat Southern Columbia here, 41-21, and they come in here to Catawissa, Pennsylvania, and end the longest win streak in the country, and somewhat stunningly so by winning by that great of a margin. PCN's Game of the Week is back next Friday, October 8th. Danville takes on Mount Carmel live at 7 p.m. We invite you to watch the game on cable on PCN or stream with the PCN Select app. And don't forget, you can watch the PIAA Football Championships this December on PCN. Visit PCNTV.com for more and enjoy all the coverage in December from Hershey Park Stadium. Bob Rotruck here with you from Catawissa, Pennsylvania. The longest win streak in the country is no more. Southern Columbia falls on their home field against the Wyomissing Spartans. The final score, Wyomissing Spartans 41, Southern Columbia Tigers 21. Thanks for joining us tonight. It was a wild one on the PCN Game of the Week.